Tomo, or who is most famously known as Bung Tomo, is a very famous hero who fought for Indonesia's independence against Western occupation and oppression. He lit up the spirit of the Indonesian people and its troops to keep on fighting and never give up. Bung Tomo was born in Blauran village, Surabaya City, which was at that time still under Dutch occupation. His father, Kartawan Cipto Wijojo, was a middle-class employee who worked in the government, and his mother was a mix of Central Java, Madura, and Sunda. And before moving to Surabaya, his mother worked in a sewing machine company and even once worked as a policewoman. At a young age, Bung Tomo received good education, and at that very young age, he already had a very high sense of nationalism and patriotism. To support his family, Bung Tomo worked in small businesses and even once worked as a journalist. One day, in late October 1945, Brigadier A.W.S. Malaby arrived in East Java alongside 6,000 other British troops, with the goal of recovering Allied prisoners of war and conquering and subduing Surabaya City. Malaby said to his troops with a pounding roar, "Are you ready?" To where his troops answered back with equal amounts of energy and excitement, "Yes, sir, we are ready." Malaby continued by responding, "Do you doubt the success of this operation?" His troops answered with confidence, "No, sir. The preparations have been done very well." Malaby ended the conversation by asking, "Good. Now would you please send this letter to Mr. Suryo? Thank you." The letter was from Mr. Suryo, who was at that time the governor of East Java. The letter contained an offer for him to help Malaby in the operation of taking down Surabaya City. But of course, Mr. Suryo was a true and patriotic Indonesian who will never betray his own country, so obviously he declined the offer. One day, when talking to his wife, Malaby said, "You know, Surabaya City is not only a strategic city, but it is also a very wealthy one. We can get rich off of this wealth. We can increase our status, power, and reach." His wife agreed with him. "Wonderful, darling." But then Malaby quickly interrupted her by saying, "But of course, I shouldn't be using all of this wealth to myself. I should be donating some to support the war effort back in Europe." And yet again, his wife agreed. "What a wonderful idea, honey. You could be called a hero if you do that." And the conversation ended. At that time, Surabaya City was an agricultural one, where most of its citizens worked as farmers. And one day, Bung Tomo announced clearly and loudly, "The invaders are coming for Surabaya." That single sentence brought sudden shock and fear to everyone who heard it. Bung Tomo continued himself, "Well, what are we doing here? We should stop them from getting any closer." Bung Tomo's most famous role in the fight for Indonesian independence was in his speeches, where his voice was louder than any explosion or siren, and his words were more powerful than any weapon in the war. He expelled fearfulness, cowardice, selfishness, and non-nationalism in the hearts of the Indonesian people, and replaced it with courage, selflessness, patriotism, nationalism, and togetherness. By showing them all that our country is being attacked, the very same country and land where your parents were born, where your grandparents were born, where our history and culture cultivated for thousands of years. And he asked them, are we really going to let them do that to our beloved country? Of course, it was a rhetorical question. The answer was obvious. No. He united every single people, not regarding color, not regarding religion, and not regarding culture or background. He united them all by reminding them that we're not only fighting for our inheritance and land, but we're also fighting for oppression, torment, slavery, racism, and injustice that was done by these oppressors. He showed them all that we have one enemy, one goal, one country, one land, one flag, and one blood. And he said, as long as that blood that unites us all runs thick red, we shall never stop fighting. He references how this fight is equivalent to how, as long as darkness, evil, and demons live, God, His goodwill, and His forgiving light will always exist to balance everything out. So, as long as God exists to fight the evil, our people and our patriotism and our efforts must always survive and live to fight against these evil oppressors. He said that no matter what challenge, we'll always survive, we'll always persevere. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the beaches and in mud. We shall fight in our rice fields and in our ships. We shall fight in our homes with nothing but a knife. We shall fight to the last man with our bones and to the last drop of blood. We shall never surrender. And even though our efforts was defeated and Surabaya city was lost to the hands of the Westerns, we didn't let that single defeat to let us down. We never slowed down and we never gave up. We kept fighting. Either if it's physically or diplomatically, we kept fighting. Because we cannot take this unfair rights anymore. We didn't want our children to stay in home and live in fear with the fact that there is a risk of their entire family disappearing overnight. And so we kept persevering. We never give up. To this day, because of them, because of that effort, because of the blood spill, because of the young and old that has died, us, young and old, women and children, students and teachers, we are all able to live freely and happily in our beloved country. And let us not forget this fateful event and its efforts to this day. Thank you.